Hello everyone, this is Supermetroidfan and welcome back yet again to more Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Vanguard card stuff. So, today I'm going to show you all my decks in Magic and I'm going to give you a relatively basic idea on how to play the game. So, if you're wondering from the last video I put up that's relating to this somewhat, what this is a relatively cheap to get, standard card game holder thing. You can get these for like $5 at a local card store if you look around. This is a 930 count total. I do not need as much space as you'll see like so. This is my Yu-Gi-Oh! My extra cards that I keep for my deck and my dice. Because you need dice to play Magic. And these little dragon shields, I recommend if you do play Magic the Gathering or you don't know about these. Dragon shields have also recently come out for Yu-Gi-Oh! Fun fact. Buy them because they are the best card sleeves that money can buy. They cost $10 for each of these, and they come with a little bit over 100. Always guaranteed 100. I got 104 out of this one and 105 out of this one. And these will never split, I swear. My teacher that I told about in the last video, who taught me how to play Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh!, he's had them for over 20 years. No splits whatsoever. The only reason that they will split is if you do not take proper care of your cards, and that is kind of a signal that you are not that good of a card caretaker. So, again, these are where I keep my Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks. So I'm going to take one of those out, because I still need these to hold them here in place, because there is not enough cards here to hold everything at bay. In fact, I'm just going to put down this deck, close her up, and move her off screen, so she will not be a problem for us. There. Oh no. Say. Alright. So this is an Evolve deck. I always keep creature tokens that I use in decks separated from them by card sleeves. And Evolve, yeah, come right to me deck, is a blue-green set, as you can see based on the mana cost. And if you can tell a little bit here, if I bring it real close, there's that symbol of a tree being bent. That means Simic. Simics are Evolvers, and they are a different version of Evolve, because if you play a Simic deck, it's going to be totally different from what I do here. See, there's Simic Charm, and then there's Simic Guildgate. Well, yeah, it is Guildgate, actually, I got that right. And there are charms like this in all of Gatecrash. They're all uncommon rarity. And there is also gates for all of them, and again, that one is a common. I actually do have all the gates for all the sets in Gatecrash. I have 4 of each, but I don't use any of the other ones. And the charms in each one represent what each set does. I should probably tell about this a bit. This one allows you to pick one of its 3 choices. Make a creature get +3/+3 until end of turn. Permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Or return a creature to its owner's hand. I haven't gotten this out in a game, but if I did, probably would wait to use the hexproof part, because that hexproof is powerful. We're going to get Evolver? Finally an Evolver! So this is just a pure green Simic, but Evolve is the main mechanic of Simics, and this deck in particular, because this is an Evolve deck, but it is not a Simic deck particularly. This is a rare, and it is from Gatecrash, but I did not get this in the booster. I traded this with somebody for an Angelic Skirmisher that I went out and bought. And this only costs 1 colorless mana and a green. This is called Gyre Sage. It's an Elf Druid with Evolve. And tap it, you can add, if you do tap it, add 1 green mana to your mana pool for each +1/+1 counter on Gyre Sage. Now, if you're wondering about how Evolve works, if I can do this right this time, that is not it either. Nope. Hang on. I want to just take off the top of the deck until I hit something. There we go. The way Evolve works, right? Let's say I already have this Evolver on the battlefield, and then I play this creature. Because this creature has more power and toughness than this creature, a +1/+1 counter is placed onto this creature, but not this one. Evolve is basically, you have a bunch of little creatures with the Evolve ability in the deck. A few of them bigger than other Evolvers. And, hang on, I had to put something to the side there. As you put bigger creatures on the battlefield, these guys get bigger and bigger and bigger with them. Evolve is a very friendly mechanic, and it works with all the creatures you're going to have in the game. So, if you fight an Evolve deck, you probably are going to guess that's going to be creature-based, because that's how Evolve works. I have a good amount of spells in mind for defensive purposes, because I play against James a lot. Evolve isn't fun when you play with James, because he just burns all the little ones before they evolve. And I don't even know where I was going with that. The way I do run this is I actually have this in here. I'm gonna have to get rid of that thing. I'm trading that for a stuffy doll. Yeah, there we go. There's an even better example. So most evolvers, as far as I know, don't have a power toughness greater than 4. I don't know if that's in total, but there's one with a 0-4. And I'm probably getting too advanced for some of you that are new to the game. So I'm going to go ahead and... Well, there's the biggest evolver of all. Okay, this is relatively basic. So, the way a magic card is viewable to you... Alright, even though this is shiny, it's a bit annoying. First off, you got the name here. The name tells you, of course, the card's name. So if there are effects that based on card name, you want to remember the names. Then this is called mana cost. And like I said before, mana is based on land. Land can produce 1 or 2 mana typically. There are some that can produce more, but basic land cards, I'm guessing there's probably one at the bottom of the library. Oh no, there wasn't. There's the next one of this plan. Yeah, there we go. The way they work is you put them on the battlefield, and then immediately you can tap them, and then by tapping this land, you add 1 mana of its color to your mana pool, unless it says otherwise. So this being a blue land, with the blue symbol here, you add 1 of this to your mana pool, which is blue. And then let's say, where is it? I had it over here somewhere. There it is. Let's say I also have, sorry for hitting the camera there, I have the Guild Gate on the battlefield. Now this one is a special land. When you first play it, it enters tapped, which means you can't use it for a turn. But then next turn, it gets untapped, and you can then tap it to add green or blue to your mana pool. This allows you to choose, and it's very cool. So, you know, let's say second turn of the game, right? We got these 3 in my hand. First off, my first part of the turn, I'm going to put this down, comes in tapped. I'm going to end my turn, my opponent goes, and then my turns, this is how the turn play works. You start by untapping everything you control, unless there's an effect that prevents you from untapping stuff. Then you have your upkeep, and an effect would happen during the upkeep, it happens. If not, the upkeep can be skipped. Then you have your draw. You take 1 card from the top of your deck. Oh, that's funny. And then main phase 1, I'm going to play a land. You only get to play 1 land per turn. You cannot play all the lands in your hand at once. Sorry to tell you, but this makes the game easy to track on how far it goes. And then I'm going to tap this to add blue, tap this to add green, and I'll play the creature to cost me a blue-green. Now, back to the rest of this. This part right here, when this is on it and it says anything but land, or basic land, as you can see here where it says basic land, and here it says land, it means it's a spell. And all spells, again, they have their name, their mana cost, and then what kind of spell they are, and then, you know, if it's a creature, this is where we'll put its archetype, its rarity. If it's a creature, its power and toughness, and then this is where the effects of the card will go, and flavor text. Flavor text is just, you know, funny little thing. Like, for example, there's flavor text here that says, enter and comprehend the perfection of orchestrated life. Kind of funny. There's some that are really fun, like typhoid rats, for example. A 1/1 death-touching rat. But Zamek Guildmage here, for the same cost it is to put him on the battlefield. This turn, each creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Which means if he's on the battlefield, and then I have enough mana to do that ability, and then I play this creature, for example, it gets a +1/+1 counter put on it when it enters the battlefield. So if it wouldn't have evolved in the evolved deck already, with the counter on it when it hits the battlefield, it does evolve. And then for a green and a blue, you can remove a +1/+1 counter from a creature you control and draw a card. I actually have used that before, not very much is the first ability, but it is very convenient if you do need to draw cards. Yeah, it's just kind of nice there. But that's not really that big of a deal to worry about. Right now, I have a few more things I gotta show you guys about magic. Perfect. So, there are really 5 types of spells. There are artifacts, there are creatures, and then there are, you know, things that mix both, like enchantment creatures or enchantment artifact creatures. And there's also legendaries, and legendaries, again, you can only have 1 on the battlefield at a time, but that's besides the point. Really, you're going to see primarily creatures, artifacts, enchantments, sorceries, and instants. Now I'm going to go over what each of these do. So first off here, we have a sorcery. Now again, the name of the sorcery can be found right here. How much mana it costs, its rarity, and it's just going to say sorcery. If it's a sorcery, it says it right here. If not, it's something else. Then its ability, which, I have to put it up close because it's light. Draw 3 cards and you play an additional land this turn is the effect of this one. So for the cost of 3 mana of any color or colorless, a green and a blue. You get to draw 3, and you get to put down a free land for the turn. Very nice, very good, and pretty powerful. Then you have instants. Now, one thing I didn't say, sorceries are spells you can only play on your turn. You can't play them on the opponent's turn, you can't play them at any point on the opponent's turn unless they say they have an effect called Flash, which basically treat the card like an instant. And this is the card we have here. Instants can be played at any point. They can be played during the combat, they can be played during your main phase, during the opponent's main phase, the end phase, everything. Instants can do whatever they want, when they want, how they want, based on what they are. So again, you're going to see your mana cost, your name, your rarity, and if it's an instant, it'll say so here. And then you're going to have flavor text if there is any, and then effect. This one is tap target creature you don't control. So if I were to play this and an opponent has a creature, I make it tap. And I'll go over what tapping is in a bit. And then this has a special ability called Overload, which you can pay 3 additional mana when you cast the spell. Instead of paying just 1 blue, you can pay the Overload cost instead, which is 3 of any color or colorless and 1 blue. And basically, let's say there's an army of creatures that my opponent controls, they all tap instead of just one of them. Because that's what Overload does. Overload is an ability that is always going to be the same if it has it. And it's when you cast a spell for its Overload costs, if you do, change its text by replacing all the instances where it says target with each. So instead of saying tap target creature I don't control, it's tap each creature I don't control. So ones that aren't on my battlefield get tapped, which is very cool. Alright, now on to the last type of spell that I have to cover besides artifacts, which we'll do that next. This is an enchantment. And enchantments are similar to creatures and lands. They're called permanents. Everything that sits on the battlefield is a permanent. All enchantments are permanents. Is there anyone that isn't? No, all enchantments are permanents. They will sit on the field. There are different types of enchantments. There are aura enchantments, aura curses, and then there's basic enchantments. Basic enchantments, they can either affect just you or they can be global, so they affect the whole game. Aura enchantments only affect one target, like those aura enchantments for creatures and for players, which are called auras and aura curses. Curses are bad, of course. But I'm going to go over the basic enchantment type here. And again, very similar. You're going to see your rarity here. This is a mythic rare. You're going to see if it's enchantment, how much it costs, and its name. So this one specifically costs 5 colorless mana or mana of any color, and a green to be able to play, and that just stays. Unlike sorceries and instants, which are like spell and trap cards that you use in Yu-Gi-Oh! That don't stay around forever, you use them once, and then they go to your graveyard. Enchantments will stay on the field until they are destroyed, or until, they stay on until they're destroyed. So they keep producing their effects as long as they are on the field, or unless somebody makes them unable to use their abilities. Now, I do believe there's an artifact in this deck, and I'm going to take it and look, but artifacts can cover a majority of your deck, and again, my teacher that I'm talking about so much, he actually has pure artifact decks, and they are either a one color or all color, and they are masterfully destructive, and I'm actually going to replicate one, because I consider I consider myself to be kind of, what's the word for it? It's on my tongue. I consider him to be my mentor for all things nerdy and all things fun, in my opinion. And really, I'm the one that spends like a huge amount of time with him, and I do a lot of work with him. I've taken a lot of my Dungeon Master tactics from him too, and other stuff like that. He's really contributed to me being able to be the person I am now, as to what I was back when the channel began. So, let's move on to artifacts. Now, how an artifact works is they will always, as far as I know, I seriously have not found a single artifact that doesn't follow this rule, cost mana of any color. This is why people do use artifacts in all their decks, is because it costs any mana, but it just has a certain number. So by pumping 3 mana into this, or to cast it, it's called Cynic Cluestone. It's an artifact. And artifacts follow the same rules as an enchantment. They sit on the battlefield, and they do nothing on their own. There are some that are called equipment artifacts, and they have an equip cost, which you may pay at any point. It's always colorless, like I said before, to equip it to a creature, and you can only use equipped as it were a sorcery, so you can only cast it during your main phases on your turn. So this one has a tappable ability, and tapping means that instead of being able to, if it was a creature, well, basically I will actually physically tap the card, and it functions as a land in a way, because you will tap it like you will for Simic Guildgate, but it doesn't come in tapped, and you will get green or blue to it. Now, if you have blue and green and you can tap this, then you can sacrifice and get to draw a card. That's just this artifact, but all artifacts have different effects and different things they do. Some will sit on the field and produce effects for you, some will equip to creatures, some will do that mana production that I got there, and a few other nasty little tidbits. But that's really the gist of Magic cards, and I'm going to make this very easy for you all. Abilities for things like tapping and instants and mana production can be done at any time. If somebody were to target your creatures with effects that would blow them up, you can say in response, I will do this with its effect, because all abilities in Magic are basically instants, unless they specifically have a certain boot up, like when it comes on the battlefield. So, let's say somebody plays Destroy Target Artifact spell. In response, I tap it so I get the mana from it. And if you don't want to do that, you can still use the green-blue tap sacrifice to draw a card, which means they will waste their spell because there's no target for them to blow up. I want you all to keep that in mind for whenever you play Magic, is that you can do it whenever you want. Alright, now, to get into how the game is played. Typically, like any other card game, take your deck, you kind of shuffle it a bit here before you play your game, and you are going to offer it to your opponent to cut. They can choose to cut it or not. Most people will do this kind of cut where they take it in half and they put the bottom on top. And then there's a few different ways to decide who goes first. One way, roll 20-sided dice. Or another way that we do it is you reveal the bottom card of your library, in this case a land, and based on whether or not who has the higher mana cost will decide who gets turn order. Since I have a land, again showing, I basically probably wouldn't be the first to go, it would be my opponent, so they would choose. Then for you personally, you draw your top 7 cards from your library. No, this is very slow, but this is how you play the game. And then if you don't like your hand, then you can do a thing called mulliganing, which is you shuffle the hand of the deck and you give up your draw. When we play friendly, we play with a rule that if you only have one land, or no land, you may reveal the hand to the opponent to show that you have only the one land, and you may mulligan for free. You don't give up your draw, and you don't give up one card. If you mulligan in tournaments, you will give up your draw, and every other mulligan past that, you lose a card. Basically, you want to go first, so that way if you do have to mulligan, you don't give anything up, because first turn player in Magic the Gathering, if it's not a big game of 3 or more people, does not draw a card on their first turn. So playing second can be very helpful, and usually you don't want to choose until you draw your cards. So let's see what I get this time. Oh, there's a land. I would mulligan again, to be honest. This deck is not working with me because I only got half of it here, but you get the idea. If you don't like your hand, you can mulligan. You don't have to reveal anything to your opponent usually in the 4-card game rules. You can always edit the rules of the game a little bit to favor you guys or make it more fun. But that's just the start of the game. Now, how do you decide a winner? Is it based on how many cards are left in the deck? No, actually. Everybody starts the game with 20 life. So usually people will have special little D20s, which I had one, but I don't know where it is. And on the 20, it'll have a certain symbol on it. And you know, like usually you got your 20 life, and this is how people count their life. In for standard play, you will usually use a D20. If you need to, you can get, a second one, like the one I got here, for if you go over 20 in life. But there you go. An easier way to do it, in my opinion, is you just simply take 2 D10s and just say 20 on one and 0 on the other. Relatively simple and much easier in case you go over 20. Now, how do you win in Magic? Well, making an opponent deck out is one way to win. I don't remember. Is it immediately? No, it's when they have to draw and they cannot draw a card from the deck, they lose. Another way to win is by making the opponent take damage so their life reaches 0. These are the... And there's also auto win. Of course, like every card game, there's auto win. Except Vanguard, I think. And Buddy Fight. Both of which I don't really care about that much. But you can either auto win against the opponent, which is kind of cheap and not fun. You can beat the opponent by making their life be dealt to 0 or negative, and also you can make them deck out, or you can make the game last long enough to do that. There's a few different rules to the game that you can choose to play or not. There are two-headed giant, there are different deck formats that you can play, and a bunch of other good stuff. But I think that's about it for the basics of Magic. So today we've covered lands, we've covered... Oh no, actually I'm not done. What am I talking about? I almost forgot to explain a basic part of the game! So, I just picked up the existing... I did, okay. So, basically, if I'm going to start my turn, I'm going to play my land for the turn. Now, if I can cast something, I want to cast it, but since I can't cast anything with this hand, I'm just going to end my turn. Then my opponent has their turn, they can do stuff, and again, if they attack me, can't do anything right now. Then my turn begins. So you will go with your untap, which is when you untap all your cards, your upkeep, if any, then you're going to draw your card, and you're going to have your first main phase. And during the first main phase, you can play an additional land, if you don't already have one, or you can play a land in general. Or you can also, if you have the mana for it, you can cast something, but I don't. Now this land, you're probably wondering to yourself, well, how come he doesn't use that to tap? It's simple. This land has an ability, unlike other lands, that, since it's not a basic land, I have to use this type of ability. I tap it, I sacrifice it, which means I put it into my graveyard, and most people in Magic will put their graveyard right here to the right of the deck, because this is in play. Keep that in mind. People usually keep their lands below or with their deck too. So everything at this line from your deck is in play. This is out of play. Past the deck to the right is out of play. The left is to play, because there is no cap on your field size. You can have... I could literally, if I really wanted to, right? I could have... Let's see. This on the field, and 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 this enchanted on this, and this here, and this here, and I could have casted that. So, little note, try and keep your stuff organized. There's no cap to what can be on your field. There's no land cap, there's no creature cap. None. You can do whatever you want in Magic the Gathering in terms of field size. You can even edit the game to have your own fun little rules. You can make new styles. There are quite a few that do exist. And other good stuff like that. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't like going 2 tournaments to play 4 tournaments. But if you like competitive play for that reason, spend money, try and make money, a lot of stuff like that, you're probably going to lose profit in Magic, being honest. Go ahead and look around your local card store, or a local store that sells Magic cards, and see if you can find a way to be able to go out and play Magic the Gathering, or even start playing. Even if it's just you and some friends, it's still very fun. It's a good way to be able to burn an evening if you got nothing to do. There are online simulators for Magic the Gathering, like there is one from wizardofthecoast.com, but you have to do a paid subscription to be able to participate in that, really. I don't personally like that. And there are many different forums you can do to try and read about cards, read about deck ideas, strategize. There's many of things to look out for Magic the Gathering. And there are many different decks too. This Evolve deck here, I probably will wind up, going into more detail at some point, but it's pretty cool. I got another deck in here that is all about demons and putting them on the field by using a card called Shadowborn Apostle, and just putting a bunch of demons in play and blowing stuff up, and primarily making harpies by using Aberrant Overlord. And the reason I'm not showing you the deck is because I'm telling you the core cards of it. I have a life gain deck that uses Beacon of Immortality and a bunch of different other life gain methods, and a bunch of very mean angels. For example, an Angelic Skirmisher. I'll put Gideon in there for no reason. That's the Gideon from Gatecrash, the $5 one, if anybody's really interested in looking for it. I also have a green deck which uses Arcanus Spinner and Arcanus Web or something like that. And it's all about controlling little creatures, so I use that one whenever I want to be mean, because it works. But that's about all I got. If anybody wants me to go into more detail about my decks, send me a message at supermetroidfan@gmail.com, or comment down below to let me know you would like to see more in detail and description about how my decks work. And maybe I will make an unlisted playlist and leave a link in a video for you all to see who's really interested in it. But anyway, I've showed you all the basics of how to play the game without playing a game, and I think that's probably as far as I feel like going today. So, thank you all very much for watching. I've been Supermetroidfan. If you enjoyed the video or the commentary, please leave a like down below. If you want to see more of this, tell me why and leave a like. If you did not enjoy this, for whatever reason you may not have enjoyed, please tell me why, comments below, or email me at the previously said email of supermetroidfan@gmail.com. And that's about it. If you guys have any ideas for me, commenting or leaving an email or leaving something on the channel too is a good idea. And if you guys want to be notified when I put up new videos, subscribe to the channel, because you could be part of the Hatchling Armada, which I don't know what to talk about, but that's what I usually refer to my fan base. And that's about it. I've been Supermetroidfan. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for the views. Thank you so much for watching the video. And hopefully I will see you in the next video, right? Goodbye for now.